This is Getting Past It, where real life meets real growth. I'm JR, and in 10 minutes or less, we're tackling thoughts, habits, and truths that hold us back. Let's get past it together.
Good morning. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy JR, host of Getting Past It, the podcast. We are back for another episode. This is Tough Truth Tuesdays. We've got a lot to talk about, some things we've talked about in the past, but we're going to revisit a lot of these topics because just because we talk about them once don't mean they go away. We're still all dealing with the same things, working to get past some similar issues, and just trying to get to a better place. So today, we're going to be talking about you can't heal what you're hiding. If you're hiding it and not confronting it, how do you heal? How do you get better? How do you move forward? Healing starts with honesty. That's where your journey begins. It's acknowledging whatever the hurt is. You've got to acknowledge it in order to begin to heal from it. You can't bury it because if you do, then it just festers. It never gets better and it becomes a trigger. A lot of times when we have hurts and different things that we're dealing with, we go into a place of avoidance. We ignore the problem. We don't want to confront it head on. It may be because it creates anxiety. It makes us uncomfortable. We don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to share those hangups that we have with others. And so we bottle it up and we avoid it. We also emotionally suppress whatever it is, right? We try to bury it deeply and not deal with the trauma or the emotional toll that it can take on you. And so you just don't confront it. You allow yourself to be distracted by a bunch of different things, or you do things that mask the pain. Um, but you don't truly confront it. When people ask you how you're doing, you say, "I'm fine," when you know you're not fine. You're not doing the greatest. But that's the way you convey or that's what you convey to others, even though it may not be true. You show a level of strength that is not actually you being honest. Like you put on a strong exterior front in front of those who you are around when really you are crying on the inside. And so you want to have this presence about yourself and this look about yourself of emotional strength, being that strong individual, but really on the inside, you are breaking down. And then those emotions can become unprocessed anger, right? Those unprocessed emotions can turn into anger because as you bury those things deep down in you, they, like I said earlier, they become triggers. So when you see them happening, you immediately react, whether the reaction is warranted or not. For all of you out there, and this goes for me as well. Like, has there been a time um where you might have been dealing with an individual and it seems like everything that person says to you gets you upset, and it can be the smallest, most minute thing, but it just rubs you the wrong way no matter what. And that's because you have some uh emotional baggage and some unprocessed emotions that you have not dealt with when it comes to that individual. Maybe there's a conversation that needs to be had. Um, but when you don't have it and you try to walk around like everything is okay, subconsciously you are building up barriers and you are building up resentment. And those things don't show themselves in the best way. I know for a long time, if we go back into my past, I always used to be risk adverse, right? Taking the path of least resistance. A lot of things didn't really bother me because I didn't allow them to, but I also uh played like the middle of the field, so to speak, right? I didn't take a strong position on things one way or the other. It was almost like just straddling the fence to avoid any conflict or confrontation. And sometimes it's good to be neutral, and sometimes you have to plant your flag on which side of the field you are actually standing on. And you have to be okay with what comes with that, right? If there is an emotional trauma or something that hurts you, sometimes you have to stand on the opposite side of that and say, that's not okay. A lot of times when we think about, like they had this saying that came out a couple years ago, check on your strong friends. And I know a lot of you out there have heard that saying, check on your strong friends. Why? Because even your friends that you view as strong, they go through stuff. They have their own hangups. And a lot of times, it's those friends who suffer in silence. And then those individuals who suffer in silence from all of the pain, all of the hurt, all of the unprocessed emotion can lead them down a dark road that some of them never recover from. When you think about comedians or comics, they say a lot of those individuals, they bring joy to the world and to our lives, but in their own, they're dealing with a lot of hurt and a lot of trauma, and making people laugh is sometimes how they get through it. But we look at these individuals who appear to be strong to us and we treat them as if they don't go through things. We don't check on them the same way we would like for them to check on us. And a lot of times they can be hiding their emotions as well through telling jokes, um, or, being short or abrupt. But sometimes as a human, it's going that extra mile to find out what's going on with a person and how you can help them get through a certain situation. Don't tell people you're fine if you're not fine. Is there somebody you can sit down and talk to that'll pour into you, that'll help you work through whatever you're dealing with, that'll help you get to a better place of healing? And no, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. But there are people who love you, who care for you, who know you, that want to see you succeed, that want to see you win, that will show up for you. The world we live in, um, social media, a lot of times people just sit on social media comparing themselves to the next person, wondering, what am I doing wrong and why does my life not look like that? I go to work every day and I work hard and I see all these people winning or giving me the illusion that they're winning. Why am I not? What am I doing wrong? Why do I feel like my path is so much more difficult? But I think a lot of times social media leads us to want to be like another individual instead of being our own unique self. Who are you? What do you bring to the table? What is your value? What do you add? What is unique about your life? Your perspective, where you're going, what you're doing. What things about you are not like somebody else? Where are you setting the trend? Or are you just riding somebody else's wave? And that's a hard place to be, right? Because we want examples, and everything that comes with that, but we have to be mindful of the power of social media. The other piece to confronting what you're going through so you can get to a place of healing and stop hiding is taking accountability, facing yourself. Are you who you say you are? I did an episode several episodes ago. We talked about that, but that's one of the biggest things, facing yourself. Are you the person that you say you are, or are you working to be that person? I know when I sit down sometimes and I take a look back at myself and my reflection in the mirror and wondering, am I who I say I am? Am I doing the things that I need to do to get there? I know there's tons of spaces where I need to be better. Um to truly be everything that I potentially can be, right? Um Procrastination can be a hang up for me. Like overthinking something, seeing an opportunity or having a thought and continuously just letting it run in my mind without actually taking any action. And that's from, a fear of failure and trying to think about all of the different details so that I don't fail. Um, Taking ownership of the opportunities that I've shied away from because I wasn't confident in my ability to get it. Might have been a job or something. Um, and it may have been the greatest thing for me, but because there was a lack of confidence at a certain point, I might not have gone for it. And I let that opportunity pass me by. And when I think about, what hang up or what thing I needed to heal from that might have contributed to me being in that space, and it goes back to being afraid to fail or prior jobs where I applied and didn't get the job. And it's crazy because sometimes you can be a person that gives the best advice in the world, but you don't take your own, right? And I used to tell people all the time, what's the worst they could say? No. All right, then you move on to the next one. But I didn't like getting the no. And I know a lot of people out there are like me in that space. They don't like no. And so rather than put themselves in a space where the answer could be no or yes, they avoid it altogether. And you miss 100% of the opportunities that you don't take. How would you know if you were going to be successful at that thing if you did not try? How would you know? Accountability, accountability, accountability. The other time is when you see yourself in this space or you've identified an area where you need to get better and you're working on taking accountability. Sometimes you need to seek help. And I'm not saying mental help or any of those things, but sometimes that is what you need as well. But sometimes you need to seek some help from somebody who can help guide your direction, your path, somebody who's been there before and who's been successful at it, which is why I'm a huge proponent of mentors. mentorship, sharing your experiences and your wisdom with others so that they can grow. They say iron sharpens iron, right? Um, and so are you putting yourself around those who can help you grow? Are you seeking the help? Are you chasing down that opportunity and really trying to do the work so you can evolve? Or are you comfortable staying stagnant? What are you doing for you? How are you improving? How are you getting better? How are you healing? Sometimes there's a hurt that we have to deal with where we might need to talk to a therapist. We might need to sit down with somebody and talk it through. Get some different pointers and ways of how to deal with that situation so that you can get past it. Sometimes it requires some deep thought and unpacking yesteryear's trauma that you stuffed in the closet. It requires some reflection, revisiting some things that you may want to avoid, some uncomfortable conversations, sometimes sitting with yourself, getting a pen and some paper so that you can clearly write down your thoughts and the different things that you're dealing with, because sometimes writing can be one of the best releases. Actually sitting down and writing out what you're dealing with, journaling. It can be extremely, extremely helpful. I remember a company I used to work at years ago, and we used to go through this thing where we talked about whether you are a victim or an owner. And excuse me, the big thing about that training was from a victim standpoint, um, they always talk about situations as happening to them. You did this to me. This happened to me. Why me? Why are they being mean to me? Versus the other side of that coin, which is taking ownership of the situation, confronting it head on, and dealing with it. I'm in this situation. How do I get out of it? How do I walk through it? How do I improve from it? This is a difficult conversation. I'm going to have it anyway instead of shying away from it. I want y'all to sit and think for a minute, right? About some of the things that you were afraid to do in the past. Some of the things that caused you heart palpitations, made your palms sweaty, made your heart race, um, made cold sweat roll down your back, filled your body with the level of anxiety that was just uncomfortable, but you did whatever that thing was anyway. Right? So think about times when you had all of those feelings building up inside of you because, for something that you were getting ready to do. And you felt whatever those feelings were giving you at the time, but you still went forward anyway. How did you feel on the other side? Drop a comment, um, add a comment and tell me, how did you feel after you confronted whatever it was, whether it was getting up and talking in front of people and you were nervous and anxious, um, but you did it anyway. How did you feel when you were done? Maybe it was applying for a job and going into an interview. How did you feel when it was over? If you're a leader, maybe it was having a difficult conversation with someone and you're somebody who doesn't really like conflict. And so you have to work yourself up to that place. Once you had the conversation, how did it feel? For those who might have taken on a new job, and now you're doing whatever it is for the first time, how did that feel in the beginning, right? Think about all the nerves, all the anxiety, everything that you built up inside of yourself emotionally based on whatever the thing was. Now I want you to think about how you felt afterwards when it was actually done, right? Especially if you put in the work, if you put in 100% effort, how did you feel when it was done? What did you learn when it was done? Did you feel relieved? Was there a feeling of, I built this up in my mind and it was way easier than I expected? Was there that, "Whew, I'm glad it's over"? How did you feel when whatever it was done? I can tell you for me, I've been in numerous situations, and I think part of what causes me stress and anxiety in certain situations is when I have to get up in front of people, and it's weird because it's like that initial onset of having to get up in front of people, right? Whether it be in elementary school, singing in front of my school, um, back when I was younger, having to stand up and sing in front of the church randomly. Like I would be sitting in the pew and they would just, hey, come on up. And the amount of emotion that would run through me. When I played trumpet and drums, playing a trumpet solo in front of the church or going to all city. Uh giving speeches or when you got to stand up in front of the class, something as simple as having to read in front of the class. Um, or once you are an adult and you step into, your career, having to be up in front of people and give presentations, and all of the things that go along with being in leadership or not even being in leadership, just being a person who is competent and good at their job when you're asked to do different things where you have to get up in front of people. I can tell you for a long time and still sometimes today, there is a level of anxiety that I feel in those spaces. But as I have done them more often and more frequently and worked myself through those feelings, I feel myself getting more and more comfortable. Before the anxiety would last through the entire event. And when it was done, it would be like, whew, I'm so glad that's over. Then it became the anxiety would dissipate somewhere throughout and I would find, a level of comfort, somewhere around the middle after speaking for a while. Now, while I still have those feelings of anxiety and anxiousness and nervousness that can sometimes take hold, it almost feels like once I'm in it now, as soon as I start talking, there's a different level of calm within the, I would say, first 2 to 3 minutes that anxious energy starts to dissipate. And then once you get past that, like it just allows you to get into your bag. It allows you to be you. Um and part of what I learned early was like I couldn't hold something in my hands when I was talking, right? Because I felt like I would be shaky and it would be visible. Um and so I would hide from that. I would hide from that fear of having to get up in front of people and the fear of being unsuccessful or it not being received well. Or, when I've done it in the past and had those moments where you freeze. And how did I get past that? Like I said, it came from doing and putting yourself out there, right? Confronting the thing that's making you fearful. It came from recording and watching myself, and seeing actually how I do in those situations. It came from believing in myself that my voice does matter, that I am worthy, that I do have something to say that is going to resonate with somebody. And it also came from understanding that most people, even the ones that appear to be the most confident, most comfortable, when they are up in front of people, also face fear and anxiety. Those are things that they face as well. But they have found a way to deal with it. And some of them just have this resolve about themselves that allows them to just confront things head on. Um, I'm the type of person, if there is something that makes me nervous or uncomfortable, I just have to go, right? I have to do it. And if there's a lot of time for me to build up that thing in my mind, it can become overwhelming. For example, I can remember going to Hawaii. And it was my wife and I and a friend, and we went to go zip lining. I don't like heights. So typically I don't do a lot of things that involve heights. And so we go, my wife wants to go, her friend wants to go, and I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna be the only dude and not go. So we go. We get there, we're standing, at the place. They give us the zip line harness that we've got to attach and get ready. And then they have like almost like a small little line, um, almost like a practice line, right? Like if you were standing on top of a one-story house, maybe. And so my wife and I, because these are, they got tandem lines, so it's two lines at the same time. And so we make the deal that we're going to go together. Now she don't mind heights. She do roller coasters and all that. But for me, I don't like it. And so I say, all right, cool, we're gonna go at the same time. But in my mind, I know once I'm standing up here and they tell us to go, I can't hesitate, because if I hesitate, I am not going. So we're standing there. They got us standing on these wood blocks. We're holding on to this bar. We're connected to the zip line. They say go. She looks at me like to get confirmation that I'm ready. But as she's doing that, because of the anxiety and the nervousness of being up here, and what's not even a crazy height, but enough to cause me anxiety, soon as they say go, I launch, because I know if I don't go at that moment, it's not happening, Chief. And so by the time she go, I'm halfway down the zip line. And we get to the other side. I get down. I'm like, oh man, that was easy. All right, cool. And then they say, all right, y'all ready? Time to hop in these ATVs. For what? They drive us to, it's like the top of this mountain, and basically say you got to zip line down. And there was about another 8 zip lines that you had to do. And these are much higher, and they look way more dangerous. And so now my anxiety is on a million. So one of the ones was like a speed line, and you got to point your feet a certain way to keep the speed going. And as I told you before, once they tell me to go, I'm gone. So we get up there. I told the wife, "Hey, when they say go, I'm out. I gotta go. I can't, because if I hesitate, it's not happening, and it's gonna be a bad day." So they say go. We launch. Boom, down the rope. I'm having a ball, but I'm nervous as I don't know what. So this is the second one. We get to the third zip line, and this one is like a viewing line, and it's a couple football fields long, but it gives you this great view of the island. They say go, boom, launch. We do that. Then we get to the last line. Um, and the person's telling us like, hey, if you want to do tricks while you're on the line, if you grab your harness right here and like rotate your legs, you'll go down the line upside down. Now by this time, because I had gone through I had gone down several zip lines at this point, I was comfortable and my anxiety was gone, right? I had been hiding from this fear of heights and never addressing it to deal with it. That once I started doing the zip line thing and go, and all of these lines were high. That I eventually got to a place of comfort by about the fourth line or so. It was like, yeah, hook me up, tell me when to go. Hey, you want to go at the same time? Like we could talk about it before we jump now. But it took me working through that thing to get to that level of comfort, to get to a place where I wasn't stuck in my tracks or thinking about the negative aspects. It was thinking about what could be, and the enjoyment and the opportunity, right? And on that last line, I did it. I went down that zip line upside down, and I had a ball, right? But it took me actually confronting that fear or the thing I was hiding from. Um, People that I've had issues in the past where it's like we just not gonna speak. And then something happens and we happen to be in the same space and have a conversation. And we are able to heal and move forward by actually confronting whatever the situation was, dealing with whatever the issue was, the hang up, the miscommunication, um, or whether it was just something that rubbed you the wrong way and that person didn't understand that that was one of those triggers for you. We can't heal what we're hiding. We can't grow to a better place if we don't confront those things that give us fear. We have to move forward. We have to make sure we are not stunting our growth or missing opportunities because we're hiding from something, or because there is something that we needed to address so we could heal and grow that we have not. So I challenge you to sit back and think about, get you a book, get a journal, get a pen and some paper, and think about the things in your life that you are not confronting, the things that you are hiding from, your hangups that you know, if I worked on this thing, it would improve my life tenfold. If I was able to get over this hurt, I could love again. If I was able to get past this prior rejection, I could move forward with my life. If I could get past the way that person made me feel and have that conversation, maybe I could get my friend back. If I could put my pride to the side and deal with the thing that needs to be addressed, how much better will I be for it? There's tons of things for all of us to do, but some of us never get to who we are supposed to be or reach our full potential because we have things that we need to address that we just won't. We'd rather hide from it, avoid it completely, than address it and grow because it's uncomfortable. And I want to say it was Will Smith who said this, and I'm sure he got this from somebody else. But sometimes we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. We have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because when you're uncomfortable and when you're in those uncomfortable spaces, those unfamiliar spaces, those spaces where it's things that you're like, I know I'll be better for it, but I don't want to do it. When you push yourself to just go do it, the growth that's on the other side of that sometimes is immeasurable. How much more could you be? Are you reaching your full potential? What are you hiding from? What things do you need to heal from? And are you doing the work? It's your boy JR, host of Getting Past It, the podcast. This was a longer episode, but I had some stuff to talk about. Hopefully, you got something out of this. This is for me as much as it is for you, right? When I talk about these things, this is like therapy for me. I get to talk about some of the things that I have dealt with in the past and the way they have shown up in my life, how I've addressed some of those things and gotten past some of those things, and also some of the things I'm still working on. Nobody out here is a finished product. We all have work to do. This is a place where hopefully we can do that work together, right? Like, I want y'all to respond and add things in the comments where you talk about what was your hang up and how you got past it. Share because somebody else who might be reading the comment could use the information. They could use some sage guidance. They could use a kind word. Let's build this thing up. Let's build it up. Community, community, community. Social media provides us with so many ways to connect. Let's be intentional about the communities we build. This is a no negativity space. Growth, development, community, positive thoughts, positive affirmation, growth, mindset. All of those things are important. You are important. We are important. We get further together than we do apart. So let's lock in. It's your boy JR, host of Getting Past It, the podcast. I hope somebody got something out of this episode. Hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment. Peace.